Hello everyone. I was just walking through the house and my attention landed on a photo of Ramesh, my teacher, and this love just arose in my heart that I can still feel right now. And so I felt compelled to turn the camera on and talk a little bit about this student-teacher relationship and Satsang in particular, the space of Satsang. While that feeling came up, I also had a thought of the upcoming trip that I'm doing in Europe, giving several Satsang intensives and retreats, the Denmark retreat in particular. So I'll talk a little bit about that because it's very relevant to this question about student and teacher relationship and Satsang. The question of whether we need a teacher in order for this journey to unfold past critical points is one that is raised often. And I don't think anyone can give you an absolute conclusive answer. Life is an amazing creation. That's what we come to see. And it can bring about whatever it wants, however it wants. However, having said that, it does tend to follow rules about how it brings certain things about. And one of the regularities or rules is that it seems to introduce a living teacher at some point in the journey in order for things that haven't been seen to become more easily seen. I can only speak from my own experience, and for a large part of the journey it didn't seem at all necessary for a teacher. Life was doing a fine job unraveling all the obstacles simply by written teachings that were providing more than enough food for thought for investigation in daily living. And as what was pointed at gets seen for oneself in daily living, the insights deepened and the obstacles fell away. So my experience at first was that a teacher wasn't at all necessary. But at some point, even though I wasn't looking for a teacher, the relationship was established. So before I talk a little bit more about the relationship that I had with Ramesh and how it came about, I'd like to mention the retreat in Denmark. Why it came up when this feeling of love in my heart was there is that teachings are usually quite radical compared to how we normally see life. And so listening to something every now and again can sometimes not be that effective. So immersing ourselves in the teaching for an extended period of time is very powerful. So this retreat is 6 days. It's in nature, which is also very helpful. The resonance of nature allows things to drop in deeply. There'll be some silent days which will allow the contemplation to go deep inside. We'll be sharing about 15 meals together, about the same number of satsangs and meditations on top of that. And there's also usually a dynamic in these retreats where people make new friends, great social interaction. So it's fun as well as deep and insightful. So if you have the urge that says, now is the time, I'm not going to let anything get in the way of this search for truth, and in fact, it's time for this search to end, then please, I encourage you to check out the website and sign up. The Denmark retreat in particular is going to be powerful, I feel, because it's 6 days and it's all in English. So don't let the fact that you don't live in Denmark be that obstacle. That was one of the characteristics I noticed in my relationship with Ramesh, is from the time that it started, I visited Ramesh every 3 or 4 months in Mumbai because nothing else was more important. As soon as the urge arose to get on the plane, that's what would happen. And in those times, the journey unfolded extremely quickly, and the subtleties that were seen was something that couldn't have happened outside of the space of Satsang. So every time the urge came and I followed that, I wasn't disappointed. So how it happened was that until that point in time, I was immersed in non-dual teachings that were pointing to the illusion of life, pointing to the fact that we are not the body and that our essence is consciousness. And one of those teachings was the teachings of I Am That by Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj. I found out one day while looking on the internet, not for this specifically, it sort of just popped up, that there was a teacher, Ramesh Balsikar, who was a translator and student of Nisargadatta Maharaj, who is now giving talks in Mumbai. And not so much out of an affinity for Ramesh or his teachings. I didn't really have a connection. I didn't know what the teachings were, but I just assumed that they would be the same teachings as that of his teacher. And so out of respect of Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj and the teachings that had delivered such a profound change, I decided to add a 2-day stopover in Mumbai on my way to Europe. That, I thought, would give me enough time to go and listen to one of the satsangs. I did that. I landed at midnight, and 9 o'clock in the morning I was sitting in satsang with Ramesh. I happened to sit in the hot seat, which, unbeknownst to me, was the seat in which someone would sit if they needed or wanted to have a chat with Ramesh. I had intended to just go and listen, but as soon as he sat down, he looked at me and said, "Yes, how can I help you?" And so then started a conversation. I have to say that that conversation didn't seem particularly meaningful to me. It seemed a bit like kindergarten spirituality compared to the teachings of Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj. Ramesh was talking about you are the ego and you have choice and there is free will. And these were not concepts that I was holding on to anymore. In fact, it had taken me 3 years to bring my mind around to an understanding that this wasn't entirely true. But nonetheless, the profundity of the satsang space and Ramesh's understanding meant he could see exactly what was needed, and he delivered a statement very casually, but it was a statement that deep down I knew was true. And that statement circled me like a shark, circling around and around and around for about 15 hours. The statement just wouldn't leave my awareness. The mind was chewing on it, resisting it, while at the same time knowing it was true. And at some point, this statement that was circling around me like a shark sort of hovered like an arrow and then suddenly penetrated through to my heart. And that was the beginning of the relationship between myself and Ramesh, a relationship that is still flowering and exists to this very day. But it was a relationship in physical form for 4 years until Ramesh died in 2009. And in that time, every 3 or 4 months, I'd find myself with this urge, once something that had been brought up earlier fell into place, an urge to go back and share this with Ramesh and see what came next. And inevitably, time and time again, the space of satsang, which is a very powerful space, a space in which we can sit and allow our heart to absorb what is said, not needing to hear it from our intellect. That space delivered, the teaching delivered, the teacher delivered. So if anyone has the urge to put themselves in that space and to establish a relationship in person where subtleties can be seen and explored, well, I encourage you to join me. This is a two-way exchange. It's not something that a teacher gives to the student. The student gives as much back to the teacher. One of the reasons that we feel compelled to share this understanding is simply because of the joy of seeing liberation unfold for others. It's something that we know intimately to be the only thing of lasting value in life. And so to be able to contribute to the falling away of the obstacles is a great gift, not something that is a chore or something hard to do. So with much love and peace in my heart, I encourage anyone who wants to join to sign up. We should have a fun, deep time. And so with much love and peace in my heart, I wish you a very lovely day.